Okay, we're recording.
Awesome, awesome.
Man, Sam, I can't tell you how appreciative I am of you being on, man. This is awesome. Uh, I was telling you just before we started that my wife showed me that video, and I didn't realize it was your video. And I scrolled down through the rest of it and saw that you help kids play sports with like missing limbs for whatever reason. And that's kind of a near and dear. I told you in the message, like, I asked a guy to be on the podcast that lost a limb in combat and, serving the country. And he's just become one of my better friends. Like, it's just so cool. So I was like, oh, this guy would be fun to talk to. And then I didn't even realize you didn't have a hand. Or that, I see all these baseball pictures and you're bench pressing. I'm like, oh, yeah. And just skipped right over it because it looks so natural. So, man, I guess take us to the beginning of, like, you were telling me stories about how you almost died. I mean, whatever you want to share first. I think we should start there. Like, how did you almost die?
So back in 2011, after I had achieved my dream of playing college baseball, I mysteriously got ill. I just went to Game 6 of the World Series to watch my best team, or my favorite team, the St. Louis Cardinals, play with my granddaddy, and just really was enjoying life. Was on cloud nine. Everything was going right. If a baseball player gets to go to the World Series, that's that's like the cream of the crop. That's your dream, is to be able to your dream is to play in it, but if you can't play in it, to watch it and be there is just insane. And experienced one of the most insane games ever in the 2011 World Series, where the Cardinals came back from behind to beat the Texas Rangers. And I was riding such a high that I was like, even though I don't have tickets for tomorrow's game, I was like, I'm coming back. I just want to be in the city. I want to be in this atmosphere. I want to see this celebration. And I'm talking people fender bendering each other, just saying, "Go Cards!" I mean, it was such a crazy atmosphere. Kid, like probably 19-year-old kids drinking right next to cops and cheersing them. I mean, it was something that you would never see before. And that next day, though, I woke up in my dorm room and I wasn't feeling quite right. Like I was really dizzy and nauseous. It just like at first I thought, oh, maybe you got food poisoning, and so I just kind of laid there and slept through it and woke up the next time I woke up, I was running 103-degree fever. So I did what any college kid would do. I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm not feeling very good. Something's not right. I said, can you diagnose these symptoms? And I tell her what, and she's like, well, what's your fever? I'm like, it's at 103. She said, all right, I'm on my way. I'm coming to get you. And so she drove the hour and a half to my school to come and get me, brought me back home. Next day, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I'm eating stuff, it's like, okay, yeah, it was just a 24-hour bug, but just to be out of precaution, she's like, I want you to stay home just one more night. We just want to make sure that nothing's, dormant and going to come to life, Well, that next day I woke up and I couldn't pick myself up off the couch. I couldn't lift my head up. I couldn't do anything. Like, I was so weak and so dehydrated. It was just insane. Like, my dad had to carry his 6'5", 225-pound son up a flight of stairs, out to the car, drive me to the hospital, which was like 20 minutes away from where we live. We get there and they're like, hey, we got to hospitalize this kid immediately. He's got a dangerously enlarged liver and spleen. They hooked me up, did all this stuff. At that point, I'm running about 104, 105-degree fever. Ran 106 degrees for that whole first week. Had hallucinations, the most violent shakes and chills. Like, it felt like someone was literally standing over me, grabbing hold of my shoulders and just shaking me. Like, it was the most violent thing. It was kind of like those movies when you watch like those horror movies whenever you watch like exorcisms and stuff like that. Like, it was like my body was just like shaky, man. It was one of the scariest moments of my life. And I lost 20 pounds in that first week. So we dropped from 225 to 205 in just that first week. And then they're running tests on me. They're poking and prodding me so much you would have thought I was Texas barbecue. I mean, they're just trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Like, what's this kid's symptoms? What's it matching up to? And so on day 6 in that hospital, they did something called a lymph node biopsy. And so they sent my lymph nodes off to St. Jude, Mayo Clinic, and all like the big hospitals, because they're like, something's wrong with this kid. We can't figure it out. We can't stop his fevers. We can't stop the nausea. We can't stop him losing weight. His liver, his organs, everything's starting to fail. How does this kid go from the best shape of his life to this point? And so like I'm laying there, and they're like, okay, we're going to ship you off to St. Louis University Hospital. You're going to see all the big experts. You're going to go by ambulance. We're going to get you there immediately. We're going to have a room waiting for you. And when we get there, hopefully we'll have kind of results of the lymph node biopsy. So I get to St. Louis. We get up to my room. As soon as we start getting settled, my mom's phone rings. She answers the phone and drops to her knees crying. So instantly I know, man, this is not a good call. And then my dad, who's a big farm boy, he's a banker in town. He taught me, to be a stone all my life, never show emotion, never show that anybody's getting to you. She whispers something to him, and he hits his knees crying. That's when I knew, oh, crap. It was like, this is not a good call. This is about to be really bad. And so they told me, they're like, hey, Sam, it's time to fight, bud. There's what we're about to tell you is going to be really scary, but we need you to fight. It was acute multicentric multilymphatic Castleman's disease. It's not cancer. I know that's a long one, man. I had to, when I do motivational speaking things, I have to put it up there just so I remember what I have to say. So 1 in 2, or 2 people in the U.S. are diagnosed with it every year. And it's 100% fatal after a few weeks to a few months of being diagnosed.
What?
It's insane. And so, like, doctors, so now all of a sudden I'm the most interesting case at St. Louis University Hospital. So I have doctors coming and poking and prodding me some more, looking for everything, doing strep tests. I took 9 strep tests because one doctor was convinced that I had, or not strep, mono test. And because one doctor was convinced that it was mono. I mean, like, to the point where he would literally come in the room and say, it's mono, no matter what, I know it's mono. And he had, like, this deep monotone type voice. So it just made it even better because he didn't really have that, that happy mood. He was like that negative doctor,
Yeah.
And anyways, they're testing me, and they can't figure anything out. And by that time, I'm already down almost 40 pounds. Everything's failing, everything's headed in the wrong way. Fever's still over 106 degrees. Nothing's working. No medicine's helping. By this time, my body is like the color yellow, like mustard yellow.
Jaundice?
Yeah. I mean, it was insane. Like, my eyes were jaundiced. You could see every lymph node in my body. It was I kind of looked hideous, man. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't winning any Mr. Congeniality contest at that time in my life. But anyways, I finally got the room to myself, and my parents were kind of going through, and I really got to thinking about my life and how I was living at the time, and realized I had hurt a lot of people, and I hadn't been living the best life, hadn't been being the best me that I could be. I'm a person of my faith. I'm very strong in my faith, and I wasn't being who God asks us to be in the Bible. I wasn't being that loving guy who's out to serve others. I was looking to serve myself. And so I really got to thinking about it, in the Bible, the ultimate place to go is heaven for Christians. And I really got to thinking, man, I don't think I'll go to heaven. I can't say that I've done enough in this life to really make a difference and to reach those heights. And, I got to really thinking about that, and I looked at my phone and I saw all the people I'd done wrong, and, I did what kids my age do. I started, instead of calling them, I was too weak to talk on the phone. I started texting everybody I'd done wrong to, and just started shooting them texts and apologizing, asking for their forgiveness. Because, I mean, the way I saw it is, I'm probably going to be dead pretty soon, and so I wanted to really make up for it and have those reparations and have everything put into place where, if I don't make it, that possibly I can make it up, and I'm laying there in that bed, and after that, after making all those reparations, I remember just laying there, and I started talking to God, and, I hadn't done that in almost a year at that time. Like, I never stopped believing, but I never, took that serious relationship where I talked to him like I was a friend. And I told him, I was like, God, I thank you so much for this opportunity, for this life that you've given me, for the blessing you've given me, for the families, for allowing me to achieve my dream, for putting all these people in my path, for giving me the vision of NubAbility. And I thank you for everything. And if this is my time to go, I understand. And I'm just so thankful for the life you've given me. But if you give me a second chance, I promise to live for you and live to serve others. And I'll always be faithful. And so the next day I wake up, worst numbers possible, like absolute worst numbers possible. Like, this kid's fading. You know, they have preachers and different religious guys coming in and really praying over me and praying basically, you know, my last rites, trying to get me ready to go. And I was on a something called a corporate prayer, which is where like several churches come together and pray at the same time across the country. And there was in 30 different states and 3 other countries, due to my college that I was at the time and having different foreign kids there who I'd kind of gotten close with. And so the next day I woke up normal.
No way.
Normal. 100% normal.
Wow.
Like, still 40 pounds down. So, I mean, I didn't look normal, but the jaundice was faded away. I was pink. I didn't have a fever. I had an appetite. I could stand on my own. I'm talking as normal as someone could be for being on their deathbed. The doctors, they tested me several more times. They had me take a mono test. They had me take everything. Nothing came back positive. Everything, you know, they had no explanation.
And then the thing it just went away.
It just went away.
Wow.
It seriously went away. And that's when, you know, when I woke up that next day and I felt normal, that's when I realized, you know, God's got this purpose for my life. And I owe it to him now. You know, my dad always told me, when you give somebody your word, you keep it no matter what. And I gave God my word. And so now I'm keeping it no matter what. And I knew that when I gave him that word, it was to serve those kids and to really get those kids to accept themselves as created perfectly and show them they can do whatever they put their mind to. And so I began recruiting a coaching staff for our very first camp and reaching out to other college athletes who had kind of reached out to me via social media who were limb different as well, and kind of told them my mission for NubAbility, which was a camp that kids would not be coddled, not have it taken easy on them, but pushed harder than they've ever been before by coaches who have been there, coaches who have achieved at the highest level of mainstream sports, to give these kids a mentor who looks like them so they have no excuses, and then to give them the knowledge that we've gained over the years at a young age so that they can even surpass us. And I told these coaches, these 7 coaches that I reached out to, and all of them bought in immediately. And we had our first camp in 2012, and we had 19 kids and 7 coaches. And that was the first NubAbility camp. And when that happened, I knew it was what I was supposed to do with my life. Now, I had no idea what the man upstairs had planned, because now we're in 7 different states, and our summer camp grew to over 185 limb different kids and their siblings, and over 60 accomplished limb different athletes as coaches. I mean,
this is awesome.
Insane.
Wow. And it all started from you being on your deathbed, basically. And then you're like,
it really did. It really did, because in 2010 I went to a camp for kids with limb differences, and I saw parents and people holding their kids back out of fear of failure. And I mean, you know, as anybody, you know, you have to fail. It's part of life. We don't grow if we don't fail. We can't learn if we don't fail. And I just saw that, you know, and once I got kids away from their parents and saw the raw God-given talent, you know, it gave me an idea of NubAbility. But originally it started as like a social media thing to like help kids through social media, like, you know, posting different videos of me pitching or stuff that could help them out. Like and my plan was, you know, to do 1 camp. That was Sam's plan. But Sam's plan is here, God's plan is there, you know. and I mean, he just blew the doors off to everything. And I mean, it has been the most incredible journey of my life. I mean, it is, I thank him every day before I go to bed because of the position he's put me in. I always say that my life's kind of like an airplane. I'm sitting in the cockpit, but it's on autopilot. I'm just right. People see me, but the plane's going without me.
Yeah. So how did you lose your limb, or were you born that way? And also, I'm assuming from the way you're talking, the way you grew up, your parents didn't coddle you at all.
No, so my dad actually, like when I was 4 years old, threw me in the deep end of my pool and said, swim or drown. He was that kind.
That's awesome.
Like I said, he was a farmer. He pushed me whenever I was riding a bike. As you can imagine, holding a bike, handlebars can be a little difficult. Well, I never got to use training wheels, man. He pushed me on it, and then next thing you know, he pushed me down a hill and said either crash or turn.
Dude, learn how to fall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
My parents were the most amazing. I cannot thank them because I wouldn't be who I am without them. They never let me use my limb difference as an excuse. They never let me quit. They never let me say can't. They always pushed me to be the best person and the best athlete I could be. As for your question, if I was born without my left hand. So I don't really know what it's called. I'm not the most intelligent guy when it comes to that. Like everybody's saying amniotic band syndrome, all this other stuff at me. I just say, no, I was born with a nub, I remember doctors asking me, they're like, so what do you call your limb difference? I said, it's a nub. They're like, no, what do you call it? I said, it's a nub. They're like, no, it's like amniotic band syndrome, symprodactyly, this one. I'm like, man, I have no idea. You tell me.
It's just missing. Like it's not there. Like I have a hand on this one and no hand on this one.
Yeah, growing up, I'd hear people whenever I'd try stuff, they'd be like, but you have one hand. I'm like, oh, really? I would have never known that. If you hadn't informed me, I would have never put two and two together.
Yeah, I just thought everybody looked like this. Oh.
Exactly.
So, this is interesting, and I think part of the reason hearing you tell your story, you went to like different camps and they coddled the kids. And I think that like one of the differences maybe between that is one, like the way you grew up, all this different path that, like you said, your faith, everything that brings you to that point, the almost dying. And you're like, hey, you're this, like I did it. I went through all this stuff. You have to learn how to do all these things and have fun and quit counting on a crutch. Don't ever use it as a crutch is what I'm hearing, you telling these kids. So getting something different and feeling independent for somebody who's been feeling dependent on something has got to be just an overwhelming sense of joy for somebody like that.
Man, it is insane. I can't even, it's a feeling that you can't really describe. Like when a child owns their difference and realizes, hey, there's nothing that can hold me back, that the only limits in my life are the limits that I set upon myself. And if I choose not to set limits, like Coach Sam and like all these other coaches of NubAbility, man, who knows where I'm going to reach. We had a kid win an ESPY. We had a camper who just signed to go play collegiate ball in the NCAA, in collegiate basketball. And he started off as a camper. We've sent, I think, 20 to college sports since we started this. It's been the most insane ride because, we're not a camp where we're focusing on their limb difference as a crutch or as something that they have to overcome. We're giving them the same drills that collegiate camps put together because I'm a former, as well as a college athlete, I also coached college baseball for 2 years as a pitching coach and strength and conditioning coach. And so these kids aren't getting program that's easy. They're getting programs that the same collegiate athletes go through. All we do is show them how to adapt to the drills. We don't adapt a sport to a kid. We adapt the kid to the sport. It drives me so nuts whenever you hear about people saying you need to change the sport for this and change the sport for that. No, you need to change the athlete. The athlete needs to adapt to the sport and be able to move on with the culture. Because that's being a human being. You can't have stuff given to you. I don't believe in participation trophies, which is why at my camp, when the camp is complete, we give each kid as an award, we give them equipment for the sport that they focused on so that they can go home and practice with it. Now that equipment is signed by their coaches and has inspirational messages so that that kid can go back to it and again the times in struggle, but it's also right there, ready to use. If it's a basketball, they're ready to shoot hoops. If it's football, they can go out and throw and catch routes. If it's a baseball, they can go and hit it for all I care. But they have the equipment, so now they have no excuse.
I told you I was going to tell you this story. And you have no left hand. And one of my favorite things was watching Jim Abbott. When I was playing Little League, was watching Jim Abbott play. And he amazed me. He was one of my favorites because I would watch over and over again how he would get his glove onto his other hand to field after and he's playing professional. Like, to me, as a little kid watching this, I am inspired, amazed, and think, dude, he's doing it with one hand. That's incredible. Like, and so I used to go. Let me see.
This is the life of a limb different athlete who like idolizes Jim Abbott. So I have a whole wall dedicated to him.
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah. So I mean, I had like Kids Sports Illustrated. He was in one with like a little comic strip one time I read. I mean, you may have that one too. I don't know, but it was just like it. I used to go out and play. Me and my friend, we used to go out and play in the front yard and practice before games. We used to hold it on our fist and try to switch it over. But you know, most of us are right-handed, so we'd have to go get a left-handed glove and then do it that way, real quick. And man, that's so difficult. Like, it's really hard to learn how to do that. But it was just, I thought I'd share that story because I'm like, I saw you pitching and go, oh, this is really cool. Because that meant a lot to me. It really inspired me. And I told my friend James who was on, who lost his leg, I told him, like, losing something like that, you think, oh, woe is me. And he has such a positive attitude about things that actually losing something inspired so many others. It's crazy, like, by pushing through that and being the positive human being and not letting it affect his life, and you can't even tell the dude doesn't have a leg when he walks around, that he actually, it almost catapulted him, and not saying that it's good that it happened, but his attitude about how it happened moving forward from that point inspires people. Just like Jim Abbott's, just like seeing you pitch on the mound and running this camp, which is where I'm like, dude, this guy's doing some amazing things.
Man, I'll tell you about this one drill that we do. You know, if you watch that video that went viral, what Tim was doing was he was overcoming his fear. He's overcoming his fear of falling on his face. So the biggest thing you can do for an athlete, period, is address their fear at an early age. So let me tell you a drill that I do with my kids, and it's amazing on the baseball field. So first off, the first day, some of them who don't know, they learn a glove transfer, and they learn whatever's quickest for them. And so that's how, they get the ball out of the glove, or how they make the throw, and how they catch it if it's come back at them and make the throw. And so a drill I do is I have this industrial-sized bounce back net. It's like 9 feet by 6 feet, and it's like what colleges use for their drills. So I start the kids out, and these are kids ages anywhere from 10 to 17. With our 4-year-olds throw on the other side. But I start the older kids out from about 90 feet away, throw it as hard as you can against the bounce back net, get your glove back on, field it. After each throw, we move up 5 feet until my kids are within 10 feet of this net, throwing as hard as they can and fielding their glove transfer. Because it's all mental, man. The entire game of baseball, especially for limb different athletes, everybody wants to think about the failure rather than the positivity, and think about the success before it happens, or not think about the success. They think immediately, it's impossible. Whereas we get them going so fast that they don't have that time to think. And so they actually get to see what they can do really quick. And I mean, we have it on video, kids just dialing in and just going all the way from 10 feet away and fielding these baseballs.
That's crazy. It's so awesome because I don't know that I can do that.
It's all mental. See, you already said it. I don't know if I can do that.
You caught me. Yes, you did. And I'm usually and I am the one that's like always. I mean, you can even ask my wife. It's like, no, we can do this. No, we can do this. I mean, we just had an incident with a refrigerator where it fell over in the back of our truck. We just bought a brand new fridge and it fell over. The handle's dented into the thing. It's like, no, this is our first fridge we've ever bought brand new. And I'm like, nope, I can fix these handles. I can fix them. I can do this. Like, I'm going to figure it out. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's me. And you caught me even saying I can't do it right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if I can do it. I think I'm just so amazed at what the human body and mind can adapt to.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing about different athletes and stuff like that is, in athletes in general, the mentality is so much more important than the physicality. If you're beaten up here, then you're already beat out here. So you have to win up here before you can win out there.
Very true.
And I mean that's with any drill. That's with the bench press. That's why I'm not terrified to balance 305 on there. Because one day I got underneath that bench. I put on a 45 on each side, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it like other people do it. I said I'm tired of using a Smith machine. I'm tired of trying to use attachments. I'll never use a prosthetic because God didn't make me with prosthetic. I want to use everything that I've already been created to do everything and adapt my body to it, And I mean, I started off with a 45 on each side 2 years ago. It was the first time I ever bench pressed. And now I can do up to 320.
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Was the first time I had ever, I'd done dumbbell bench presses and stuff like that. But as for regular bench press without using a Smith machine, I had never done it. And so 2 years ago, I just saw people doing it, and I really felt confident in my ability to be able to balance it, because what it does is whenever it sits on this nub, the nub kind of creates like a suction to it. And so this is all callus right here. I mean, I don't know if you can really see that. That's a big callus.
Yeah, I can kind of see it, yeah.
So when it sits in there, it kind of rests in there, and I always use the bar that has kind of more of the diamond grips on it. So it has the little bit of stuff that sticks in your hand, leaves imprints. And I'm gripping that bar so hard, so I'm already even losing some strength because of how hard I'm gripping that bar. So whenever I come up, I'm keeping it balanced.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, I can't believe that video didn't go viral, because I watched it and I still didn't know you didn't have a hand. You're so smooth with it, and I'm like, oh, that 305, that's a lot of weight, man. That's a big bench, but he doesn't have a hand. What is this going on this page? So, I mean, I guess I kind of want to go and talk about this viral video that I had no idea was a viral video beforehand, because it really is a super special video. I mean, it just makes you smile. Is all it does. It makes you smile because you feel you're cheering for this kid. Like, his intensity on his face, it's not like he's determined. There's determination and intensity and fear, and just all these emotions are running through him in the lead up to this moment. And it's you've got basically an entire movie in this kid's emotions before he jumps on this box.
Absolutely. And I mean, and that video explains the NubAbility coaching mentality better than I ever could. If you see that coach pounding on that box and said, do it, believe in yourself, do it, you can, don't give an excuse, do it right now. You hear her say, right now, get on this box right now. And I mean, you see him try, miss, keep going, don't give up, get on this box right now, try, almost gets it, keep going, don't give up, get on this box right now. And then he jumps up and you just see him erupt.
Yeah, he's emotional, he's crying, he gives her a hug. The first thing he do is runs to that coach to give her a hug. You know? Yeah. And that was it's oh man, it's a crazy goal, because you think about the balance and not having any arms and right. All of the different things that are going on with him. And then he was not committed, sort of committed, dipping a toe in, but not committed. And then he's this is something you just have to commit. And the coaches were not coddling him. They were get up here. It's amazing. When you watch it, you go, well, I have no excuses. I have zero anymore. I have zero excuses. You know what? I need to go out and do something right now to make up for all the excuses I made before on why I didn't do something.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what Like, if there's a video that could ever inspire you, it's that one. And what's crazy, and this is just what kind of blows my mind with everything that happens. That's just one of hundreds of moments that take place at the camp.
Yeah.
That are like that. I mean, we teach kids who have never played baseball, never touched a baseball, how to throw and catch a ball in a faster time than it takes people with both limbs, because they see the coaches out there doing it. They find our way, and next thing you know, they're repeating it. I mean, it's insane. Same thing with football and basketball. You know, our kids leave the camp better physically, absolutely, but the mentality that we give them is bar none. I mean, we give them that no excuse, keep grinding, always willing to work twice as hard to get on the field, 3 times as hard to surpass your competition mentality, because they have to, you know, whenever you're born with a limb difference, you're automatically born off balance. So you have to work twice as hard just to get to the area that your peers are at. And you have to work 3 times as hard to pass them. So I always tell my kids, I was always that kid that when the coach is giving that game speech or practice speech to his team and he's saying there's a kid across town who's out working you, I was that kid. I was that kid who left practice, went home, grabbed a quick bite to eat, and then I was back out until dark. And I didn't stop. And, you know, I would line up Coke cans and Gatorade bottles and stuff on my dumpster, and I wouldn't go inside until I nailed every single one with a pitch. You know, every pitch had to hit it, and I had to hit them all in a row. If I didn't hit them all in a row, I started over again. So, I mean, there were some nights where I'd throw probably 200, 300 pitches in a night, but I never stopped because I had a passion to prove all the people who doubted me wrong, especially the coaches in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade who cut me. My pitching coach in high school, that whenever I came to him and I was throwing hard and I was one of the key relief pitchers as a junior, and I came to him, I said, "Hey, coach, I think I got college baseball. What do I need to work on? What do I need to get better? You know, I'm throwing the ball pretty hard." And he goes, "You know, you're throwing the ball pretty hard, but there's not very many one-handed baseball players in college baseball, and I think these are your last 4 years." But I had already developed that mentality at that time that, okay, you know, now I'm going to prove you wrong. So whenever I signed my letter of intent to play college baseball and had to pick the people for my signing picture, he was one of the first people I picked. So now people ever knows that the one-handed baseball player who was supposed to be done proved him wrong.
Is that part of what drives you a lot in a lot of things, is not just the love of the sport, but the love of proving people wrong? Like you said, I can't, and I can. Like, don't tell me I can't.
Man, it is infectious. It's so infectious that I carried it on through NubAbility, and the fact that if my kids say can't, I can't, they got 50 push-ups.
Oh,
you know,
that's awesome.
Like we full on punishment. You know, if some of the coaches are making them run, some of the coaches are making them do other drills. But like can't is outlawed at our camp, and we have a sign on our door every year at camp that says "Leave your excuses here."
That's beautiful, dude.
You know, because it's not, like I said, it's not a coddle, it's not a self-help group, it's not a support group. This is a sports camp. This is a camp like any college kid or any high school kid's going to go to for a college. We're going to push these kids to be better than they ever thought they were, and we're going to keep driving them to reach that potential even when they don't like it. You know, we're always going to push them because we as the coaches believe in them. We see it. We've been there. We know what it takes. We know what it takes to own your difference. And, I mean, that takes time. That takes a lot of confidence. That takes a lot of work. But once a kid owns a difference, you know, maybe not every kid's going to end up playing college sports, but who's to say we don't have that next open heart surgeon who has to do a very risky procedure that most surgeons are afraid of, but they have that mentality of, I can do it. You know, there's nothing stopping me. I can do this. I can do anything I put my mind to, and then they go and save lives, you know, or cure cancer, whatever. You know, everybody. If everybody would own their differences in this world, because I mean we're all different. I mean you and I are different. You know, we have different eyes, different hands, different faces, different mindsets. Everybody has a difference, but you know our differences aren't what defines us. What defines us is how we react to every situation thrown our way, how we react to the adversity thrown our way. Do we take it and you know lie down, or do we fight it and prove people wrong, you know, bust through the adversity? Like, you know, Tim was facing an adversity there. box jumps, period, for athletes are risky.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
You know, I've skinned up my shins, twisted ankles, done all kinds of stuff on box jumps throughout the years. And for him, you think for us, even me, I have a nub and a hand that can catch me if I fall forward. He has nothing. So, if he falls forward, it's his face.
It's his face.
He's essentially risking injury. He's risking it. He sees that adversity. And instead of lying down there for 30 minutes, so that video was obviously the last few minutes or the last few seconds of it. But for 30 minutes, those coaches pushed him to jump on that box. And he never gave up.
I think that's one thing too you don't get to see in these videos. But I looked at some of your posts, and you see the kid playing quarterback with no legs, he's 2 prosthetics. That's a lot of footwork that goes into that, and that's crazy. I mean, seeing that in person has to be just one of the most insane things ever. You know what I mean? But
oh, yeah.
I guess leading up to that. And did he train for these box jumps? And is this a goal that he set, or was this something that you just walked in one day and you're like, okay, this is on the agenda. This is what's going to happen?
Man, so Tim has been at our sports camp now, I want to say, for 6 or 7 years. He's 14 now, and he had tried various sports. He tried volleyball for a while, and then last year he chose strength and conditioning, and he seemed to really like it. But last year we didn't push him to do a box jump. We didn't try that. And so when I brought in a new strength and conditioning coach, part of his program for his focus kids, which he had 2 kids who really set their focus on strength and conditioning, but he did programs throughout the camp for all the sports for our varsity kids so that they could really learn the tools that they needed for their sport that they're going to be playing. On the agenda, he had box jumps. And, I'm pretty sure Tim was terrified from the moment he knew that there was going to be a box jump. They started him off with plates, I believe, and then next thing you know, they got him up to a 20-inch box. And like you saw, that's terrifying. Even though it's 20 inches, and it doesn't seem that high, man, like I said, you could jump a foot box and easily injure yourself, And, he's got essentially nothing keeping him back. Obviously those coaches can catch him for sure, but if you're an athlete and you're in that mindset of I got to do this myself, you're not thinking that coach is going to catch me. You're thinking I'm going to fall in my face or I'm going to make it on this box.
Yeah.
And eventually he set the other thing aside and he's like, no, I'm going to make it on this box.
Yeah. So do you train with kids? Do you build them up? Let's say a kid comes to your camp, has almost no sports experience. They've been coddled and told you can't play these sports because you don't have this limb, or maybe they never made a sports team, or they're just in their mind they're like, I really want to, but I'm not like them, and their parents are trying to push them to do something, to get outside and to play and to have that normal life, and confidence and building all those sort of things. Where do you start with a kid like that when they come to your camp?
Push them hard, man. You push them hard. First step is get them away from mom and dad. And so that's why at our camps we have the policy of parents aren't allowed on the field, because we don't want, or in the dugouts or anywhere, because we don't want our coaching to be watered down by parent comments. You want kids to be double coached while they're at this camp, because these coaches are giving the most valuable thing a person can give, which is their time. And they're there to give these kids those tools to really excel and succeed. And so when you have a kid like that who needs that extra pushing, we push them. We push every single one of them. Sometimes the kids cry. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes they cry. But I guarantee you, by that Sunday, every single one of those kids have their nubs in the air. They're proud of who they are. They're loving life. They're owning their difference, and they're ready to take on the world. But first, you have to break down the walls. You have to break down the walls like you would break down an athlete. You break it down, then you build it back up. And so we break down the parts that we need to break down, and then we build them back up. So for those older athletes, that even if they've never played baseball before, they're still going to go through the strength and conditioning programs. They're still going to do everything it takes to be an athlete, because once they decide up here that they can do it, once they get that mentality, man, sky's the limit.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about the effects it has on their life in general. just you were talking about heart surgery, but I'm talking like little minor details and the things that it gives them of just going to do a job or opening their own business, or that Tim, could he be a strength and conditioning coach in the future and coach people to be strong athletic individuals? You know what I mean? There's also now, after jumping on that box, the sky's the limit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so this is probably Tim's fourth or fifth time going viral in his life, because Tim is one of those rare congenital cases where his mother also has the same limb difference.
Really?
Yeah, so his mother is also missing limbs. So they had like a TV series on Facebook and different social medias. I mean, they were so calm and collective whenever I called them about, Good Morning America and everything. Like, I'm over here like panicking and crying and, just so pumped. And they're just like, yeah, it's okay. Just send us their contact info. And I'm like, you've been here before. She's like, well, we have like 4 or 5 times,
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, I mean, it's kind of funny, but in the same sort of way, like what you do to kids and you're like, no, we got this. They've already dealt with it. They're like, yeah, this is nothing. Like, it's easy. Yeah. It's no big deal, So
like I'm reaching out and telling them, like, don't let Tim read the comments. They're like, Sam, we got this. I'm like, all right.
Do you have?
I mean, there are some people out there that are just, scumbags, and they're posting stuff to try and bring people down. I mean, some of the stuff they're saying about a 14-year-old kid is insane, and it makes me mad because I'm super protective. But I'm like, you can't react because the good has to outweigh the bad. And I mean, that's the same thing with anything in life. You always have to look at the good over the bad.
Yeah.
If you can find one good thing from each situation, that's gratitude. That's where you can really find stuff to drive you. If you can pick out that one good thing, to keep that optimism, to keep that positive attitude in your head, nothing can stop you.
No, man, I totally agree. 100%. Do you ever have, like, so that guy that plays football for the Seahawks, I think he's still in the Seahawks, right?
Yes, sir.
The cornerback. Does he?
Yep.
Do you ever get people like him come talk to your camp, come through your camp, talk to kids, show them videos, stuff like that, of people that have succeeded on that sort, like Jim Abbott, and succeeded on that kind of level?
So I've emailed Jim Abbott for the first, this past year. I actually got to email Jim Abbott for a little bit. I still haven't met him to this day, man. I'm hoping that happens someday.
Dude,
my dream is to play catch with him. Even though I tore my AC joint in college, I throw every year at my camp for the kids, and I'm willing to play catch with Jim Abbott, But as for Shaquem Griffin is amazing. He's super busy, with his book coming out and with his NFL season, obviously, so he hasn't been able to make a camp yet, but he brought all of our kids out onto the football field of the last Seahawks preseason game during our Seattle camp last year, and talked to him, stayed like an hour after preseason. It went viral on ESPN with him meeting with our kids, and then for the summer camp, he sent a video to him, just wishing them luck, telling them to keep competing, keep pushing, no matter what, listen to your coaches and really get that mentality of you can do it. And then this year, him and Shaquille sent a video just talking about, because we include siblings in our camp, because the sibling is your practice dummy at home. I mean, that's the one who pushes you at home. So those siblings there, so they can see what we're doing with their brother and sister, so that they're able to push them after the camp ends, And so Shaquem and Shaquille sent a video, telling those siblings, push each other, make each other work, take everything you learn home, so that you guys can really not only get better together, but get better individually in your sports.
Yeah, I really like that idea of bringing because you think it's all on that person, but then there's the people that have to deal with them on the daily basis and have to help them get improved. So you send something home with them that both sides benefit from, and then it also gives them something to improve when you're not there.
Absolutely, because I'm the middle child. I have an older brother who looks like a Spartan warrior. He weighs like 175 pounds, can bench over 420. Anytime he wants to, he can just walk up off the street. Never taken a supplement in his life, and just goes in and just destroys workouts. Like, he's one of those freaks of nature. as some of my coaches call them, thoroughbreds. and, and then I have a little brother who's very similar in muscle stature. He's not shredded, but like he's one of those guys who can eat whatever he wants and keep his 8-pack and be happy with life. And he's like 6 foot, and he was always super athletic. And so between the two of them, I had some of the toughest competition, whether it was out in the driveway with sports, pitching, trying to blow stuff past him, and football, taking some licks. My older brother gave me so many licks that were so hard that I knew that I wasn't afraid of anybody once I got to high school football. I was ready to take whatever it came, and I was a wide receiver. So it was.
Oh wow!
So it was. You catch the ball, you're getting hit. And for me, I loved it. I loved when somebody came to hit me, because I wasn't that guy who was going to try and juke and get out the way. I was that guy who lowered his shoulder and was going to take on the hit that I could and try to overpower the guy. But and that's all because of that toughness that my older brother gave me. He also gave me that toughness so that whenever things weren't going right in my life, whether it was like with bullies or anything like that, I wasn't afraid of anybody. I was never afraid. It always helped that I was 6'4", leaving 8th grade, and I was always one of the bigger guys in the school. But that mentality, that mental game, and the mental bullying is something that is hard to overcome. To this day, I can recall every moment that I was bullied and remember everything that everyone said. I can name every single bully I ever had, because that stuff sticks with you. They say, I remember when I was a kid, what was it they used to say? Words. What is it? Something about rocks.
Oh, sticks and stones.
Yeah, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. I don't believe in that, man. I think words are the most are like knives, and they like leave scars in you. After every time they stab you, it doesn't matter if it's a little stab. You always have a little scar. If you cut yourself just a little bit on your finger, you have a scar for the rest of your life. And I think that's the same way with bullying, especially mental bullying, because it sticks with you. It's stuff that haunts you. It's stuff that you remember for the rest of your life, no matter where you're at. And even now to this day, where I've owned my difference and owned everything that happened, and I wouldn't take back anything I ever experienced, including being cut, including having an entire team not shake my hand after a basketball game.
What?
Yeah, man. I've gone through the ringer.
No way. Why would they not do that though? This is crazy.
I was like in the middle of the line. I wasn't in the front. I wasn't in the back. I was in the middle of the line, and we're going to shake hands after a basketball game in 6th grade. Had a great game. As I'm walking through, instead of shaking my hand, I hear, "Oh, don't touch me. Oh, that's gross, man. Don't touch it. Oh, get away from him." The whole time. And the only person that shook my hand on that team was the coach. And then, like, no one from my team said anything. Now, I felt kind of alone. I felt like I was on an island that night.
No one stuck up for you at all?
Nobody said anything, man. Nobody said, "Man, we got your back. Don't listen to him." Nothing. Now, what I didn't know was that one of my best friends did hear it, and so 2 weeks later, when they faced him in an all-star baseball game, he beamed literally every single one of them.
Yes.
So there was some sort of justice, but it was I just wish at the time, he wouldn't even have to do that if he would have just told me, "Hey, man, I got your back," and but him doing that still. It made me feel pretty good.
Oh, I'm sure it did, man. Friends stick up for each other. I'm a very loyal person to my friends. And when somebody messes with my friends, it hurts my feelings almost worse when it's my friends instead of me. It's like, you don't do that, man. You don't, there's no reason for you to, somebody said something to one of my friends. They're doing a competition, right? And somebody told them, like, "Why are you doing that if you're not going to be professional in it? There's no point." And this is a higher level person, and you're like, dude, don't tell my friend. They're trying to further themselves, be a better version, better human, and plus, it's my friend. Like, you don't do that to my friends. Like, I got fired up just hearing the story. Like, I'm pacing around my kitchen, like. Oh, wait a second.
Give me their number. Give me their contact.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, dude, this is insane. And so I get fired. That would, just hearing the story, they didn't shake your hand. You see That's one reason I love hockey. No matter what happens, those dudes beat each other up out there. They get in fights. But guess what? They skate, they line up, and they shake hands after the game. They respect. You always respect your opponent.
Absolutely.
In everything. And so that super gripes me. I'm getting mad at him right now. Like if I want to beat him. I want to beat him in this situation. Like take me. I want to play baseball right now. Oh, that's crazy that somebody would have such disrespect, or who raised it. Like that's what the first thought is, like, who raised these kids, you know? And I know it's not totally the parents' fault all the time, but like, what makes a whole basketball team do that?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the hardest moments of my life. That's one of those moments that's really stuck with me. Because I remember it from, I scored like 10, 11 points that game. I had a really good game and was coming through lines, and like not one person except for that coach. And not even my coach said anything, which I don't know if my coach really heard it. I don't know, because I was in the middle of the line, but I just know that, like, had someone said something to me, it wouldn't have hurt as bad. But it was the fact that, like, we get to the locker room, I sit down on a bench, I'm getting dressed, and it's like crickets in there.
That's crazy.
We just won a basketball game, and it's like crickets. So I knew they had heard, but nobody was saying anything.
Is that some sort of mess? Like, I mean, does that message come out in your camp too about these experiences you've had like this? Because those kids are going to probably share, human beings are kind of the same when it comes to this stuff. There's going to be moments similar to this that you can share with them and help them out in that situation too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, every year at camp, I address the parents particularly. I stand up and I say, look, your kids are going to go through some of the hardest times that you ever could have thought. They're going to have their hearts broken. They're going to have their wills tested, and you have to stay firm with not giving them an excuse and never letting them quit. Because once you let someone quit, quitting is the biggest addiction. It's bigger than drugs. Once you quit once, you're willing to quit anytime. And I mean, sometimes I use that when I go speak at schools. I talk to kids. I'm like, how many of you quit a Madden game? Like in the middle, just because you're getting your butt kicked. How many times have you quit that? And like you'll see kids, I've quit millions of times. Like exactly, and it all started with one time. One time you quit, and then you were willing to quit for the rest of the time. Anytime that it started going bad, whether you're in like your little career or something like that, and you're wanting that perfect record or whatever, and then all of a sudden, team's beating you by 10 points. You got 30 seconds to go, no timeouts. It's over, and you're like, oh, quit, restart the game.
It doesn't work that way.
You can't restart life. Once you quit, you can't restart life.
Dude, what if you had quit on your deathbed there? Think about that. What if you had quit and then NubAbility is never a thing?
Exactly, man. That there would have been so many kids that missed out. I mean, it's been having NubAbility and doing NubAbility has been the most rewarding thing in my life. I can't even begin to describe what it's like. I mean, I work probably on average from 8 till 6 o'clock at night, but sometimes it'll be like 8 to 12. Like during camp, I was in the office until midnight, anywhere from 90 to 100 hours a week sometimes, and I mean, but it's a passion. It's something I'm so passionate about because I see what it does for these kids. I see the doors that it opens. I see the confidence that it brings them and the self-acceptance. And what's crazy is, among those 19, 20 kids that we've sent to college programs, the majority of them have come back as coaches.
That's really, really great. Wow.
So
like just returning it.
They want to pass that off. And, I had one of the coolest things told to me by a girl at camp. It was actually a girl's mom, and she goes, my daughter has always wanted to be a rock star. She has wanted to be a rock star since the time she was a kid. She's always had a microphone, everything. But yesterday, after the first day of camp, in our car ride home, she said, Mom, I want to be a NubAbility coach when I grow up.
Oh, dude, like,
hearing that, and I cried. I'm not even gonna lie. I was a big baby. I was like, that's what it's about. The fact that these kids who are being mentored by these athletes want to continue that mentorship and want to mentor the next level. that's how I know that NubAbility will never die, because these kids are willing to give back.
Yeah, man, and the powerful like impact. You say words can cut, and then at the same time they can lift you so far up. Like if you hear that story, I mean, it's lifting me up, and it's not even. This is the first time I've talked to you. You know what I mean? You think of like true inspirational speaking. It really sometimes comes from comments like that from others. You know, that outside the whole system and outside of, you know, you're not writing a speech there. That came from that kid's heart on the drive home. So, I mean, nothing's more uplifting than that. Nothing gets you riled up.
It has been insane. I mean, the amount of achievements that have happened through this camp. You know, the greatest thing for me is the fact that our NubAbility kids want to be coaches. They want to come back and give back, because that tells me that we're doing it right, that we've got that mentality instilled in them and they want to pass it on.
It's great, man. Well, tell everybody where they can find, like, how they get a hold of you, how they can help out the organization, where to locate everything. I mean, shoot, if there's like some high level coach that for some reason hears my podcast and wants to, you know, sign up or give us, or whatever it is, like, tell people where they can find you. They can learn more about the camp, more about you, the services, everything.
Absolutely. So you can find more information on the camps and on NubAbility at www.nubability.org. NubAbility Athletics on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go follow us. Our Instagram is going crazy. Like I said, you know, my phone has just been vibrating this whole time we've been here. So I have no idea what's on the other end of that line. We'll approach that when it gets there. But then if you want to follow me, you know, you can follow at Sam Kuhnert, SamKuhnert, because you have to spell it out because nobody knows how to pronounce it.
I didn't know how to say it. I got to be honest. I didn't know how to say your last name.
The way I usually tell people is think of raccoon and just add an ERT, and that's how you say it.
Kuhnert?
Yep, Kuhnert.
I almost sound like I'm insulting somebody when I say that. It's terrible. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
Where the guys wouldn't even try. Like my college debut, which I had in Florida. They get on the announcer and they're like now pitching for the Greenville Panthers, Sam. And it just gets quiet for like 5 minutes, and then he goes, number 31. I'm like, not even gonna give it an effort. I'm like,
yeah. Well, man, there's so many ways you can go with that to mess it up that would not be good.
there's been some bad words thrown out. You know, I mean, it's circled around, man. It is circled around the wagon. And they can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go to samkuhnert.com. All of my speaking fees at this time go back to NubAbility to help field scholarships for kids who can't afford our camps. That's just who I am, man. Everything I am is about this camp and finding those kids to serve and doing whatever I can to provide those opportunities. If we don't have the money for the kids at the time, I'll go find it.
Man, well, nobody, especially after talking to you, nobody deserves more success than you. Like, it's crazy. And I mean that 100%. Like, nobody deserves more success. Nobody deserves this, like, you know, because you're just passing it on to the kids because they deserve it too, which I think is just amazing, man. You're doing awesome stuff, and I really appreciate you responding and getting back with me and doing this podcast, man. This has been a pleasure for me. It's awesome.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you reaching out and allowing me to share my story because, you know, every time I get to share my story, hopefully it finds one more kid. And that's what it's about.
You know what? My wife, she started this. Her passion is teaching like CrossFit kids, and she's into it. She's built a program up and worked on it, and it is truly her passion. And to see how much she cares about teaching kids and then being involved in that, like just in that side, that little bit, you know, this beginning stages, it's been just, you know, it's like heartwarming. It's tough. It's challenging, but so rewarding. And I see that. And so your story really means like it's impactful to me. I know it's impactful to her, and that's why, she follows your site and all that. So just thanks for everything, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for having me on. I can't wait to hear this and share it across the platforms, and I really appreciate it, man.
All right, thanks, Sam.